Hey guys, this is a project that I've been working on. It is a synthesizer built using the LPC1114 microcontroller, which is it's a 32-bit ARM microcontroller in a 28-pin DIP package. So you can use it on breadboard, use it on perf board like this. Really great for prototyping without having to do any surface mount soldering. And it's cheap. It's about the same price as an AVR with similar features, except it's a 32-bit processor and it can run it up to 50 megahertz, so you can do some really cool stuff with it. And the synthesizer that I built here has 4 oscillators and a filter and various modulation options and MIDI input. And right now I have it connected to a Rock Band keyboard controller for Xbox 360, which actually has a MIDI output port on it, so you can use it as a really cheap MIDI controller, and you can get these things at thrift shops and eBay for really cheap, and I would highly recommend getting one if you want to play around with MIDI and audio and fun stuff like that. So we'll turn it on here, and we'll first start talking about the waveform knob that controls the shape of the waves, kind of obviously. So right now, with the knob set to its center position, it will play square waves like this. And we can check out some different octaves. Now as I turn the knob to the left, it will decrease the pulse width. And as I turn it to the right, it will set 2 of the oscillators to sawtooth and the other 2 to pulse with varying duty cycle, like this. And when you get all the way to the right, it sets all 4 oscillators to sawtooth waves. Now the knob down here is the Detune control, which will slightly detune each of the 4 oscillators in different ways. Right now it's all the way to the left, so all 4 are playing in unison, but as I turn it to the right, it will detune them. And actually, as you turn it throughout the 4 sections of the knob, you get different types of detuning. The 4 oscillators are tuned in kind of different intervals. It's hard to describe, but I might as well just sweep through the knob and let you hear how it sounds. And when you get all the way to the right like this, it sounds very much like a super saw that you hear in a lot of dance music. So that's pretty cool. And then of course turning it all the way back to the left sets all 4 notes back to unison. Now in addition to fine-tuning control, we can also change the notes that the 4 oscillators play using the chord programming mode. So when I press this button, now I press 4 keys on the keyboard to program the intervals for the oscillators. So I'm going to play a C, an E, a G, and the C above that, and now we get a chord like this. So once again, combining the coarse tune with the fine tune allows you to get some really cool sounds. So let's just reset that. I press the button twice to reset that, and we'll turn the Detune knob all the way back to the beginning, so we just get our plain old square wave. Next we'll look at the envelope section. We have attack and release. They're both all the way to the left for instantaneous attack and instantaneous release. And we can turn up the release like so. We can turn up the attack like so. Then let's turn these back. The switch here controls the sustain mode. Right now it's in the center on sustain, so as long as my finger is on a key, it continues to play the note. If I switch to keyed up here and turn the release up a little bit, well, as you can tell, there's no sustain at all. It starts the release phase immediately. So holding the keys has no effect. But if I set it to repeat, then the envelope will re-trigger as long as I have my finger on the key. And then changing the release and attack knobs will affect the repeat speed. Now let's turn these back and take a look at the filter. So it's a two-pole state variable filter, also known as a Chamberlain filter, with low pass, high pass, and band pass modes. Right now we've got the resonance turned all the way down, and we have the cutoff frequency turned all the way up, so the filter is totally open. And let's close the filter a little bit. And turn off the resonance a bit. So that is that. That is our filter, our low-pass filter, but we can also change the mode by holding down this Chord Program /Shift button and pressing this button right here. The blue LED indicates that it is in low-pass mode, but pressing this switches it to high-pass. And we can press it one more time to switch to bandpass mode. Whoops. And we can press it one more time to turn off the filter entirely. So let's put it back on low pass mode and take a look at the modulation. So these switches here control which modulation sources affect which parameters. There are two modulation sources. There's the envelope and the LFO. And this switch controls which parameters affect the cutoff frequency if the filter is on, or the pulse width if the filter is off. And this switch controls which of those sources affect the output pitch of the oscillators. So let's take a look at the LFO by turning this switch down here. And we can control the rate with this knob here. And this one down here changes the modulation amount. So if we turn that up, we should now hear something like this. Let's turn the release up a little bit too. So the amount knob, it's bipolar. So when it's in the center, you have no modulation. When you turn it to the right, you have positive modulation. When you turn it to the left, you have negative modulation. So to demonstrate the differences between that, let's change the LFO shape from triangle to sawtooth, or ramp, as indicated by the green LED. Turn the cutoff up. So now you can hear the cutoff frequency rising. But as I turn it back to the left, now the cutoff frequency is falling. In addition to the sawtooth and the triangle shapes, we also have square, and random. Let's turn it back to triangle. And of course, just like that, we can also modulate the pitch with the LFO. Now, to control the range of the pitch modulation, we use the pitch modulation programming mode. So I press this button, and then I press two keys to indicate the range of modulation that I want. So if I want 2 octaves, I can press, let's say 1 C down here, and then the C 2 octaves up. And now we get this. So now you can hear the pitch rising. If I want the pitch falling, I can program 1 C and then the C 2 octaves below, and now you get a falling sound. Modulated together, you can do some cool stuff. So, in addition to the LFO, we also have a modulation envelope, which is selected by turning the switch to envelope. Now that's controlled by the same 2 knobs that control the attack and release, but to change the modulation envelope, you press the select button to switch to mod mode. So now the knobs will affect the attack and release of the modulation envelope. Right now they're both off, but as I turn up the release, actually, since I'm in negative modulation, it sounds more like an attack, but if I turn it up, turn the attack up as well. And of course you can combine the envelope and the LFO as well. So that is that. Couple more little features. We have glide as well. So if you, whoops. If you press one note while another is held down, you get a slide of pitch up the scale. There are actually 3 different glide speeds. That was the fastest. I can press it again for a slower glide. And press it one more for an even slower glide. So that is basically it. There are a couple other little features, but they're not that interesting. So we're just going to kind of play around on the keyboard here and see what kind of sounds we can make.